Okay, let's talk about a weird paradox we're all living in. We have technology that can connect us to basically anyone on the planet in a split second. So, why do so many of us feel more disconnected than ever? It feels like that digital connection is a mile wide but only an inch deep, you know? And it's fueling this huge loneliness crisis all around the world. Have you ever found yourself scrolling through hundreds of friends and just asking, why do I feel so alone? If you have, you are definitely not the only one. For a lot of us, the promise of digital connection has totally morphed into digital burnout. And honestly, there's no better example of this than modern dating. The whole endless swiping thing has left millions of people feeling just exhausted and more isolated than when they started. And look, this is not just a hunch, it is a full-blown phenomenon. Get this, a staggering 79% of Gen Z say they have swipe fatigue from dating apps. So if you've ever felt totally drained by that cycle of swiping, matching, and then poof, ghosting, well, you're in the vast majority for social smarts. Now, here's what's so interesting. The solution everyone's looking for isn't some shiny new app with a better algorithm. No way. The real answer, the actual blueprint for connection, is being built right now by two groups you would probably never put together: digital nomads and the sober curious movement. Let's explore this hidden pattern because it's a big one. For explorators, open loop. So here's our game plan. We're going to look at four key areas to really get this. First, what we're calling the Great Deceleration. Second, the new kinds of social spaces that are popping up. Third, the digital blueprint they're all using to get organized. And finally, we'll boil it all down into a simple framework you can actually use for strategists. All right, let's dive into this big idea, the Great Deceleration. This is way more than just a trend. It's a massive reset happening across the market. It's this collective pushback against all those high-volume, low-value digital interactions that have kind of taken over our social lives. And right at the heart of this whole thing is swipe fatigue. We've all heard the term, but it's that really specific feeling of exhaustion, right? That slow chipping away of your confidence from the endless gamified loop of digital dating. It's a totally normal and valid response to a system that, let's be honest, often feels more like a chore than a real path to connection. So, here's the big takeaway for this part. If you have felt this burnout, it's not just you being tired of your phone. You are literally on the front lines of a huge cultural movement. You're one of the pioneers who's actively looking for something deeper, something more authentic, and way more meaningful. So, if people are ditching the old model, where are they all going? Well, let's take a look at the pioneers who are building these new social spaces. And we're going to start with digital nomads, a group of people who had to figure out how to solve loneliness out of pure necessity since they're always on the move. And their solution is absolutely brilliant. It's a strategic model they call community as a service. Instead of just hoping to bump into people, they actively architect their social lives. They use paid memberships for things like co-working and co-living spaces to literally plug into an instant, curated community. It is a system designed for connection. Now, here is where it gets really wild. At the exact same time all this is happening, a totally parallel movement has been exploding. Almost half of all Americans are now actively trying to drink less. And this is what's fueling the massive rise of the whole sober curious movement. So what on earth do globe-trotting remote workers have in common with people who are just drinking less? Well, they're both rejecting the traditional social scenes for something way more intentional. They're swapping that loud, alcohol-fueled networking for spaces that are designed for clarity and presence, where the real goal isn't just small talk, it's genuine, authentic connection. Okay, so we've got these new physical spaces, co-working hubs, sober bars, you name it. But where do these communities actually get together and organize online? You might think it's Instagram or Facebook, but the real digital hub is somewhere else entirely. The central command for these new values-aligned microcommunities isn't some public feed. It's Discord. Yeah, that platform that started out for gamers. It's become the perfect tool for building private, organized, and super engaged communities, way away from all the noise and ads of mainstream social media. So here's the simple version of how this actually works. A group of digital nomads creates a private server on Discord. Inside that server, they make a channel just for planning a real-world sober travel meetup. Then, and this is key, to handle all the logistics like RSVPs, reminders, and different time zones, they use powerful automation tools. It's a super safe and practical way to turn online chat into real-life connection. And these automation tools are the secret weapon that makes this whole thing work at scale. These bots are basically your community's own personal assistant. They handle all the boring, heavy lifting of planning events so the people in charge can focus on, the actual human part of connecting. Let's look at the actual toolkit. You've got bots like Apollo, which makes event management a total breeze with one-click RSVPs. Then there's Me6, which is crucial for safety. It automates the rules, welcomes new people, and can even create reward systems. And for groups all over the world, a bot like Seshworks time zone magic, making scheduling super simple. This is the practical nuts and bolts infrastructure that makes these communities actually work. For settlers, for strategists. And just like that, you now understand the hidden tech engine that's driving this entire social shift. This isn't just about people wanting to connect. It's about a new, practical architecture that makes it possible. People in our crowd, people like us, we get this. Okay, let's pull all these different threads together. Now that we've seen all the individual pieces, we can assemble them into a really simple but powerful framework for how modern connection is actually being built. It all really boils down to these 3 pillars. Number 1, intentional physical spaces. Think co-working hubs, sober bars, even run clubs. Number 2, a centralized digital hub, like a niche Discord server to keep everyone organized. And number 3, the focus is on values-aligned micro-communities, where people connect over shared interests, not just because they live on the same block. That's the strategic system for strategists. And this framework, it really reveals a huge shift in what we're all looking for. The quest is no longer just about finding a romantic match. It's about a much more fundamental human need, finding your people, finding your tribe. It's a huge move from just isolated pairing to real, collective belonging. But as we get better and better at architecting these perfectly aligned communities for ourselves, it brings up a new, much more complicated question. Are we actually engineering genuine, resilient connections? Or are we just building really comfortable, self-reinforcing bubbles? And to push it one step further, what happens when the next members of these little communities aren't even human? AI companions have already been downloaded over 220 million times. How are our brand new, perfectly designed tribes going to handle them? That's a question we are all going to be facing very, very soon. If you found this useful, do me a favor and share this explainer. You might be giving someone who feels totally disconnected the exact blueprint they need to go out and find their people. Thanks for tuning in. Share CTA.
If this touched your heart, please subscribe, like, and share it with your family. Save this for more meaningful content ahead.